We begin in Kaduna, where residents are now living in fear, not knowing what will happen the next minute due to the increase in terrorist activities in the state. Now, 2 days after bandits attacked an Abuja-Kaduna bound train, killing 8, injuring 26, and kidnapping an unspecified number of persons, the rampaging terrorists have again attacked a low-cost housing estate at Kofaragayan in Zaria, kidnapping 6 people, including a customs officer and his son. The police authorities are yet to confirm the incident, but a resident of the area told TVC News that the bandits invaded the estate at about 8 p.m. on Wednesday and started shooting sporadically. According to the source, the bandits trailed the officer from his family house in Zaria City down to the estate. 4 others within the estate were later abducted by the gunmen. Kaduna State and several others in the northwest and north-central regions have suffered from banditry in recent years. The gunmen have largely targeted schools and other public facilities, with several persons killed and many others injured in the incessant attacks. Still in Kaduna, relatives of some of the passengers who were kidnapped from the Kaduna-bound train on Monday say the terrorists have contacted them to confirm that their relatives are safe with them in the forest. A very disturbed family member, whose mother and sister also boarded that train but were kidnapped, told TVC News that no demand for ransom has been made by the terrorists. He said the assailants just called to let them know that their relatives were not missing but kidnapped and are currently in their custody. Meanwhile, 10 injured victims of the attack who were rushed to St. Gerard Hospital in Kaduna Monday night have been discharged. The authorities say some of them were referred to the 44 military hospital for further treatment. As the security situation in some parts of the country continues to deteriorate, the majority leader of the House of Representatives, Ado Doguwa, is suggesting that Nigerians be allowed to bear arms in self-defense. Ado Doguwa, who is representing Doguwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency of Kano State under the platform of the All Progressive Congress, spoke earlier today at plenary when the House was debating the aftermath of the terrorist attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train. Mr. Doguwa is of the opinion that the security agencies have failed and citizens should not be at the mercy of terrorists or bandits. Another lawmaker, Aminu Suleiman, who is also a member of the APC, in his contribution said the security agencies are displaying incompetence. He wants President Muhammadu Buhari as Commander-in-Chief to live up to his responsibilities and guarantee the security of life and property. But in swift reaction, the House of Representatives has appealed to Nigerians not to bear arms, as suggested by the House Leader, Al-Hassan Ado Doguwa. The spokesman of the House, Benjamin Kalu, made the appeal while addressing parliamentary reporters after the day's plenary. He described the House Leader's outburst as a personal opinion and not a reflection of the position of the Parliament. Still on security, in Sokoto State, the General Officer commanding 8th Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Uwembasi, says troops will continue to sustain multi-agency cooperation as a measure to combat security challenges in the country. The Army General stated this when he declared open a 3-day operations planning cadre 2022 for officers of the Nigerian Army and representatives from other security agencies in the Northwest Zone. This, he says, is in line with the theme of the cadre, which is sustaining capacity building and multi-agency cooperation, a key to defeating insurgency and terrorism in northwest Nigeria. He said the effort was aimed at enhancing the operational capability in line with the special operations in the zone, which comprise Hadirin-Daji and Hadin-Kai, which covers Sokoto, Katsina, Kebbi, at Zamfara states.
This operation training cadre is quite timely, considering the nature of operations the Nigerian Armed Forces and indeed with other security agencies are currently undergoing in the country. And the Master of Ceremony has laid even the foundation, talking of various operations from Hadin-Kai, Operation Hadirin-Daji, Wide Stroke, and all of them. militancy we have in the south, insurgency in the northeast, banditry terrorism in the northwest. Each of these insecurity problems has its own peculiar challenges. This requires individual training, group training, and for security personnel to be able to operate effectively within such security environment.
Let's now take you to Borno State, where the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) says its operations against all criminal elements in the state will not cease until relative peace is achieved there. The state commandant of the NSCDC, Musa Farouk, stated this while briefing journalists on the arrest of 7 persons suspected to be engaging in various criminal activities. Jesse Tafida reports.
It's another successful day for men of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Borno Command. They have been on a consistent patrol in their onslaught against criminality in the state. Now this has yielded positive results with the arrest of 7 persons. They are suspected to be engaged in various criminal activities ranging from theft and vandalism. The State Commandant NSCDC Musa Farouk is here to say more about the success.
Some black marketers were cited with several kegs of petroleum products, particularly PMS. We arrested one Sanda Ali, a male, a driver to a Golf saloon car, with which they conveyed several railway assets. For instance, irons, 60 pieces of railway irons, 7 pieces of railway sleepers. These acts, you all agree with me, offends the spirit of Nigerian economy. And this matter will be treated accordingly within the framework of justice. It's an act of economic sabotage which offends the spirit of our economy. We will not tolerate the continuous vandalism of our governmental assets and want to revamp, want to rejig, want to ensure electricity restored.
The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Borno Command says it will not relent in its quest of ridding the state of criminality. Jesse Tafida, TVC News, Maiduguri.
To Niger State, where the State Emergency Management Agency says it has recovered 13 bodies from the boat mishap in a local government area. 4 of the dead are children and 9 of them women. The boat capsized in a Guni-Zumba River as the victims were trying to escape terror attacks on Guni and Kaduna communities in Mourns local government area of the state. The attacks were said to be simultaneous, which forced the people, mostly women and children, to flee to safety in an overloaded boat which later capsized. It is feared that all on board the boat may have died. In the meantime, Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello says he is grieved at the needless loss of lives and in a condolence message described the death at the Guni-Zumba River as painful and disturbing. He condoled the family members of the deceased and the entire people of Mourns local government area. While condemning the unprovoked attacks on innocent citizens in these communities, the governor emphatically stated that no matter how hard the criminals sustain their activities, the government remains steadfast in its efforts to end criminality in the state. To judicial matters now. A federal high court in Abuja has dismissed a case of alleged $9.8 million money laundering charges brought against former group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Andre Yakubu. In a judgment delivered by Justice Ahmed Mohammed, the trial court said the prosecution, the EFCC, had failed to prove its case beyond reasonable doubt to result in the conviction of the former NNPC boss. Justice Mohammed therefore orders the refund of the said money lodged in the coffers of the CBN to be returned forthwith. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had in 2017 found $9,772,800 and £74,000 in a safe at his Kaduna residence after a raid. Elsewhere, an Ondo State High Court sitting in Akure has reserved judgment in the trial of suspected killers of Olufunke Olakunrin, daughter of Afenifere leader Reuben Fashoranti. This decision followed the adoption of final written addresses by counsel in the case, as a trial judge, Justice William Olamide, said the judgment day will be communicated to the parties. Ayodeji Moradio reports.
Olufunke Olakunrin, daughter of Afenifere leader Reuben Fashoranti, was shot dead in June 2019 by gunmen in Ore, Odigbo local government area of Ondo State. She was buried few weeks after a gruesome murder. Alleged killers were later arrested and arraigned 6 months after her death. 4 defendants, Mohammed Shehu, Adamu, Aula Abubakar, and Lawan Masjay, were arraigned on 4 counts before an Ondo State High Court sitting in Akure. After months of legal fireworks, lawyers in the case adopted their final written addresses. The prosecution team, led by the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Charles Tituloyi, said they have raised 5 issues for determination in the case.
We have brought before this court for this court to determine whether we approve our case beyond reasonable doubt. And from the evidence, totality of witnesses we have brought before the court and the exhibits we have tendered before this court, we have convinced that a case has been established against all the accused persons, the defendants. They have all conspired together to commit murder and kidnapping.
But counsel to the defendants, Kudirat Badamosi and Obafemi Bawan, in their written addresses, prayed the court to discharge and acquit the defendants.
We have been able to formulate 5 cogent issues of law for the determinations of the Honorable Court, to wit, whether the court could speculate into the prosecution case like an Ifa oracle in the absence of fact as placed before the court.
The trial judge, Justice William Olamide, said the judgment date will be communicated to lawyers in the case.
Let's talk politics now. The newly elected national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Adamu, is now fully in charge of the party. Mr. Adamu officially assumed office by receiving instruments of office from the immediate past interim chairman of the party and governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni, at the party's national headquarters in Abuja. In his address at the ceremony, attended by one of his predecessors, John Odigio Yegun, and other elected National Working Committee executives, the new APC chairman promised to give his best in his service to the party and urged his colleagues in the NWC not to begrudge him in case of any mishaps as he aspires for the collective good of the party. Well, let's now speak with the All Progressives Congress Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka, who joins us live from our Abuja studio for more on the expectations from the new executives of the party. Let's begin with congratulations for your emergence as the APC Publicity Secretary. Congratulations on that. And talking about your emergence, your party's constitution recognizes 3 methods: direct, indirect, and the consensus, as a method of bringing in the party's leadership. And in this past convention, consensus was adopted. Do you think members of your party are happy about the outcome of that exercise?
Yes, certainly.
All right, so you believe this went down well with members of your party. Let's talk about now that you are in office, what do you consider the biggest challenge that lies ahead of the party's leadership?
Well, you know, we have just come out of our convention, very happy. I'm getting the feedback that...
All right, Mr. Moka, when you're speaking, you could just continue. with your response to the questions?
Yes, we came out of the convention very happy. We're very satisfied with the outcome. Yes, we did adopt the consensus model because our constitution permits it, amongst other approaches to conducting the election of our representatives. And, you know, before the convention, I mean, there were a lot of apprehension about whether or not we're going to come out of this unscathed. But as you saw, as you witnessed, you know, the leadership of the party, you know, especially the role played by the president of the Federal Republic, was able to bring the party together, bring all of the candidates, especially at the chairmanship level, to agreeing to, you know, do this in a very cordial manner by conceding to, you know, each other. And that was also witnessed, you know, from top to bottom. Now, for those who might think that this was not a preferred option, you know, you will recall that during the convention, for those individuals who insisted on actually, you know, having the election determined by voting, they were granted their wish. No one was, you know, compelled against their wish to concede to anyone. So the point, we're very happy, we're very satisfied. And by the way, you know, a consensus model is one that is promoted, you know, in many other situations. In our law courts, for example, you know, we have now written in our practice codes across this country what we call the pretrial, you know, conference, where the law and the rules encourage, you know, litigants to resolve their differences, you know, by you know, pre-negotiated sort of process. In the event, this was, you know, something that was, you know, sanctioned by Constitution. So we're very happy with the outcome of that process.
All right. Well, as you admitted, there was some level of friction prior to the party's national convention, which held over the weekend. Now that you're in office, how do you intend to use your good office to douse these tensions and bring all members of the party further together?
Well, that is, you know, work in progress. You know, the inauguration of the party, of the National Working Committee that was held yesterday was right on the mark. The emphasis placed by our newly elected chairman was clear, and that is, you know, for party members to stay loyal and united as we move, you know, to the next, you know, phases of our engagement. Yes, the question of bringing the party together, healing all of the you know, divisiveness and the tensions we find common ground on which we begin to build the immediate next stages of our engagement, which is, you know, our move to primaries. As you know, the primaries are just, you know, weeks away. And we are determined, you know, going into the primaries to emerge even stronger than we did, you know, after the convention, to be ready to move into the primaries and really compete, you know, internally in a way that it gives our unity and resolve to move into the electoral phase with courage and conviction.
Well, you just spoke about the party's primaries, which comes up shortly. Would your party, the APC, this time also adopt consensus approach to selecting its flag bearer?
Well, it's too early to tell. Again, that is subject to, you know, all of the processes that we will, you know, have to go through and determine, you know, before the primaries. But be rest assured that under the new leadership of the party, you know, we will, you know, follow and abide by our constitution. And if consensus becomes a preferred option, based again on the collective
All right, it appears there's some challenge with the network there. We've been speaking with the APC National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka, who's joining us in our Abuja studios. live. If you can hear me, Mr. Moka, you may continue your response to that question. All right, we'll try to connect with him for more on that conversation about what lies ahead of the party's leadership, even in the build-up to the 2023 general election. Still talking politics. A political group, Coalition of Progressives Lagos Governorship, has passed a vote of confidence on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to recontest in 2023 general election, citing his landmark achievement. The group, comprising 28 governorship candidates of various political parties in the 2019 general election who stepped down for Sanwo-Olu's ambition, gave this support in Ikeja, Lagos. We have more in this report.
As Nigerians prepare for the general elections come 2023, partnerships are being forged in order to achieve a collective goal. It's on this note that the Coalition of Progressive Lagos Governorship candidates are throwing their weight behind the re-election bid of Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Rising from a press conference in Lagos, the group believes Governor Sanwo-Olu deserved a second term due to his administration's huge infrastructural development across the state.
We are appreciative of the landmark achievements you have brought to bear. Your distinguish between politics and governance in Lagos State is legendary. By what we have seen so far in the last 3 years you have been in office, the improvement in the health sector and facilities, housing, and his quest to continue to improve on the infrastructure development of Lagos State.
They also applauded Governor Sanwo-Olu's intervention in transport sectors such as the completion of the bus rapid transport corridors, Agege flyover, road construction, among others.
We also need to commend the state for the peace and tranquility despite the challenges encountered by the state. The governor is actually giving us what we want, and is pleasing. What the governor has been able to achieve in Lagos and what he looks forward to perfect in the next term, it is our desire that he should be allowed to complete them.
Party Sanwo-Olu belongs to APC. I've given Sanwo-Olu that platform to run for a second term. We will know how to lobby with our party. That whatsoever the aspirant or candidate they will bring in, they will step down for Sanwo-Olu. You understand? We still belong to our different parties, an active member of the parties. And before the press conference, we have meeting with our different parties and the chairman of the parties in Lagos State, and they are giving up go ahead, and we believe that we can be able to work and lobby them to step down for Sanwo-Olu for a second term.
In all, they advised the governor not to alter his winning team, adding that his retinue of commissioners and aides were top-notch. Theophilus Ilama, TVC News, Lagos.
Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, has pledged a sum of 500 million naira as part of his support for the construction of a new Air Force base in Ajia village, Ibadan. The governor spoke at the groundbreaking ceremony of the permanent site of the Nigerian Air Force Base, Ibadan. Olaide Oyewole reports.
The 671 Nigerian Air Force Detachment was established in 1992 to provide operational support for Nigerian Air Force aircraft operating in the southwest, as well as ensure internal security in the region. The detachment since then had no permanent site until recently, when the Oyo State government allocated about 58.8 hectares of land for the building of the base so as to strengthen the security architecture of the state. Governor Makinde assured that his administration would continue to partner the Nigerian Air Force to improve security in Oyo State.
Indeed, our administration is committed to partnering with the Nigerian Air Force for a better civil-military relationship and improved security in our state with 500 million naira. It's available, and we want to see rapid construction.
The governor advised the people of Ajia community to be a good host while the construction of the base is ongoing.
So let me use this opportunity to once again appeal to the good people of Ajia community to be accommodating hosts and support our plans to bring rapid development to this area.
Chief of the Air Staff, who commended the Oyo State government for the gesture, said the Nigerian Air Force through this would extend its operation to enhance internal security in the southwest region.
Amongst other benefits of having this new site, the units will be able to undergo necessary expansion to become a full-fledged base and be a staging post to expand the reach of the Nigerian Air Force.
While pledging the loyalty of the Air Force to Nigeria, Air Marshal Amao appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for his continued support in the area of capacity building, as well as creating an enabling environment for them to operate. Olaidio Yewole, TVC News, Ibadan.
In other news, the clamor for local government autonomy as third tier of government has continued to generate a series of controversies among critical stakeholders in the country. Some stakeholders, including Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, differ on the need to grant autonomy to the 774 local councils in Nigeria. Ayodeji Moradeyo reports.
The agitation for local government autonomy has continued to generate reactions across Nigeria. Some governors are said to be opposed to this development, which is eliciting shades of opinion among Nigerians. At a function in Akure, the Ondo State capital, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu spoke his mind on the topic. The Ondo Ensmen said it is a duty of state to create local government areas in a two-federal system.
We are talking about a federation. What are the federating units? It's a state. The federal government cannot determine the local government function. They should not. We are the federating unit, not the local government. So, anybody can talk.
Former national president of the Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees, Noge Deji Akinwalere, said council autonomy is long overdue in Nigeria. He blamed state lawmakers for being clogged in the wheel of granting local government autonomy in the country.
To the legislature at the state level, they had even changed themselves. They will never vote to have autonomy at their own level. And that tells you how the enormity of the crisis that this nation is facing, that somebody who is in financial bondage, whose money are being misused and hijacked by state government, cannot vote to secure financial autonomy for themselves. So if legislatures at the state level cannot do that, so what magic are you expecting local governments to perform?
The permanent secretary in the State Ministry of Local Government also shared his own view.
Nigeria is concerned, we have only two tiers of government. Local government should be a creation of the state. Our governor has never tampered with local government funds. All what it does is to ensure judicious spending.
As the agitation for local government autonomy continues, it appears the state governors and state lawmakers hold the ace for the actualization. Ayodeji Moradeyo, TVC News, Akure.
Elsewhere, the Association of Civil Societies in Malaria Elimination, Immunization and Nutrition is urging for more equity in the improvement of malaria intervention outcomes for those in the communities. This formed part of discussions at the 4th edition quarterly meeting with partners in Abuja. Kemi Balogun has details, after which we'll have business news.
In 2019, Nigeria accounted for more than a quarter of all global malaria cases, with a 27% case rating. It is also responsible for about 23% of all deaths around the world yearly. At this quarterly meeting ahead of the World Malaria Day, the concern across this room is how to improve equal access to malaria services for the most vulnerable people and communities. Participants are also focusing on promoting and celebrating the contribution of communities in health interventions.
We need to advance equity, not equity that we all need to suffer equally. It should be the equity that we all don't suffer malaria. We need to build resilience, ensure that our systems are strong, functional, and able to deliver the services that we require.
We have wide number of states that receive early line. We have their campaigns that were issued. Of course, we followed sensitization on how to use the net and care.
Malaria prevention is not as prevalent in the urban area compared to the rural areas. It's very high in the rural communities. And most of the challenges that they face include, some of them are not aware. So that community ownership is not there. They don't know that these health facilities that they have, they need to own it, they need to support it.
The group is urging for more accountability and resources to help interventions leading to an end in malaria disease.
The financial value of contributions to Nigeria's health sector from the international community can be tracked. Likewise, allocations from federal and state governments. Where we have the challenges is that the community and the people groups of Nigeria, they can and they should, and they are contributing to their own health outcomes. And where this happens, it should be recorded and celebrated.
Advocacy and shared responsibilities through community participation will make a great difference in the fight towards eliminating malaria permanently. Community interventions will continue to play a key role in the run-up to the elimination of malaria. Kemi Balogun, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, in business news, despite being Africa's giant with over 600 trillion cubic feet of gas, Nigeria got a paltry 7% from a $70 billion African gas investment portfolio in the last 10 years. According to the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Timothy Silva, the 7% the country recorded from foreign investments in the oil and gas industry amounts to 1.6 trillion naira out of the total volume of 29.1 trillion naira. The minister, while wooing the EU to invest more in gas following the urgent need for gas supply in the continent, maintains that one of the biggest challenges faced by the country in the sector has been the lack of adequate investment. He therefore urged the EU to step up investments in gas and hydrocarbon in Nigeria to be able to help meet the EU energy needs. The call is coming on the heels of the festering war between Ukraine and Russia, which is threatening gas supply to European countries as Russia presently supplies about 30 to 40% of EU gas needs. An African roundtable on repositioning the private sector for better service delivery is held. It was a brainstorming session on how governments could make the most of their public service in actualizing the continent's drive towards sustainable future. Lara Afolayan reports.
The public sector is critical to any country's growth as it helps boost socio-economic development while preventing domination and exploitation from external forces. This virtual meeting with participating countries from across the continent now seeks ways there could be a more responsive public sector alongside issues of capacity building and management amongst several areas.
We believe that a respect for the public sector, investing in civic projects, supporting services which benefit all people, is the mark of a functional and caring society. Crucially for all of us, Africa needs public sector professionals who provide the leadership, behaviour and standards to meet the challenges and grasp the opportunities of the future.
Public value must be at the centre of all strategy, of all investment decisions, in public as well as private enterprise. And we also know that the more that accountants can do in bringing that vision to reality, in strengthening trust in the public sector, the better it will be for everyone.
Discussants share thoughts on enhancing effective public service reforms, reviewing public sector financing vis-a-vis capacity and professionalism. Financial sustainability of governments and value creation are also areas of concern.
It is very important that as professional accountants organizations are working together with the members, we are able to engage the stakeholders on capacity development. And when we're talking about engaging the stakeholders, we should be able to identify, motivate, and mobilize our stakeholders.
Africa is moving towards a viable future, and the public service plays a significant role in making this happen. The role of finance professionals and institutional leaders in the process is a talking point as well.
There are a lot of liabilities that we are actually carrying. Therefore, how do we ensure that ESG and sustainability issues are part of the trade or even the contracts that we sign.
The Association of Chartered Certified Accountants is helping to drive improved service delivery in the Nigerian public service through capacity building in areas that will bring about the needed reforms. Lara Folayo, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, in line with its commitment to support quality education and promote environmental sustainability, again, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, in partnership with the Lagos State Parks and Gardens Agency, LASPAC, has engaged young Lagosians to plant 100 trees in the state in order to protect the environment from the devastating impact of climate change. Details in this report.
In a bid to support the effort of the Lagos State government towards ensuring a greener, healthier and sustainable environment, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, ACCA, has collaborated with the Lagos State Parks and Gardens Agency, LASPAC, to plant 100 trees at Ojota Road. Speaking during the ceremonial tree planting event held at the Gani Fawemi Park, Ojota, the General Manager of LASPAC, Mrs. Adeosu Popola, who lauded the initiative, urged individuals, public and private organizations, as well as non-governmental organizations in the state to emulate the humanitarian gesture.
Lagos is one of the world's mega cities with rapid urbanization. In the next couple of years, it's projected that the city will experience extreme population explosion. And when this happens, ecosystems and the essential natural assets they provide will be depleted. Therefore, it behoves on us to ensure complete restoration of the environment, and this can only be achieved through planting as many trees as possible.
On his part, the country head ACCA Nigeria, Mr. Tom Isibo, bears his mind on the importance of the initiative.
We have to be more conscious about our planet. We also have to play a role in ensuring sustainability of our planet. And then there are different aspects of it that everyone can participate in. As you are seeing, we're planting a tree today in partnership and collaboration with Lagos State government through LASPAC, and it hasn't cost us a fortune to do that. So I believe that we should just identify the different aspects of the SDGs that we can contribute to.
We have to protect the environment we live in. And if we don't do that, it won't be there for us to survive and exist as a country and as citizens. So for us in ACCA, our members have worked together, contributed on one side to plant trees, on the other side to also support children through that process. So we're supporting Slum to School and sponsoring 42 children.
Highlight of the event is the fundraising of 2 million naira raised by members of the ACCA to sponsor the education of 42 children for a year through the Slum to School organization. Blessed Omanose, TVC News, Lagos.
Shares of various companies recorded higher prices for the second day this week as the first quarter trading ended. Effiong Ekop has details.
It was another day of positive transactions at the nation's stock market, where closing data for first quarter trades threw up gains on many shares. In the afternoon, trade index rose by 0.14%, pushing up stock prices. Major Paints recorded a 10% push on its stocks as fund managers bought into the company. Other gainers were Mansard Insurance, First Bank Holdings, Cotsville, and Okomo Oil Palm. On the downside of trades were Northern Nigeria Flour Mills, Nimed Pharmaceuticals, Major Paints, RT Briscoe, and Nigerian Breweries. A total of 256 million shares valued at 3.66 billion naira were traded in market subsectors. Many market analysts said they expected lower transactions in the market in the coming months due to poor economic conditions and political activities. Effiong Ekop, TVC News, Lagos.
Lower oil prices look set to boost European and US markets at the open of European futures rising 0.49%. Germany's DAX futures gaining 0.61%, Nasdaq futures 0.4% up, and S&P 500 features 0.15% higher. But shares in Asia were hurt by data showing the activity in China. The factory and services sector swung into negative territory in March, contracting simultaneously for the first time since the peak of the country's COVID-19 outbreak in 2020. MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside Japan fell 0.56%, led by a 1% drop for Hong Kong Hang Seng Index, and 0.77% decline for the Chinese blue chips. The euro held at a one-month high against the dollar, having rallied on hopes that the war in Ukraine might be entering a new de-escalating phase, while the yen was set for the worst month since November 2016. The European single currency rose as high as $1.11 in early trade, its highest in the month, having gained 1.7% so far this week. Overnight, the Dow average, industrial average, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite were down following similar downward movements in European stocks. Well, oil prices in the international market plunged more than $5 a barrel today on the news that the United States was considering the release of up to 180 million barrels from its strategic petroleum reserves, the largest in near 50-year history of the SPR. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude recorded a price dip of 4.65% to hit $102.80 per barrel. Brent sells at $109.30, registering a downward price margin of 3.74%. Bonnie Light's performance is out of the woods, now selling with a surge of 3.58%, selling at $114.30. For the OPEC basket, crude dealers offer $110.10, recording a price dip of 2.95%.